Mike Jeffries and the Jacks return home to the Sportsplex at Matthews for Military Appreciation Night in the Charlotte area, and the Independents play host to Penn FC, who are looking to get back into the win column. Both teams losers in the last couple of contests, looking for a big 3 points, or perhaps they'll have to settle for a point apiece, and you'll just have to wait and find out. Tyler Terrence along with none other than the incomparable ex-German pro Devin Kerr. And Devin, for Penn FC, they are not going to be playing a home game for almost 2 months. Their next home match at FNB is going to be September 8th. They're coming down the home stretch of the 2018 season. They're looking to make a playoff push, but if they're going to do it, they're going to need a lot of points on the road.
And unfortunately for them, you can see the form away from home, 2, 4, and 5. Absolutely abysmal, so that's going to bode well for the Independents. But look, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Currently in the midst of 6 out of 7 on the road, but guess what? Turn the corner, they're going to have 9 straight games at home. That's a good thing. One positive thing for Penn FC when they come on the road, although they've only got 5 shutouts, 3 of them have come in the visiting uniform.
And for the Charlotte Independents, their last win came on July 11th within the comfortable confines of the Sportsplex at Matthews, but they've gone on the road and they've dropped 2 in a row to FC Cincinnati and Louisville City, albeit 2 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, but this is a Jacks side that just loves to play at home.
And unfortunately for the Jacks militia, Charlotte Independents did not show a lot of emotion, not a lot of desire. And Mike Jeffries told us that. He said, listen, we know we can play. We've shown that we can play with the best squads in the USL, but we have to do it on a regular basis. That's the reason they're sitting right around that 8-9 spot, and they're struggling to back into the playoff picture. If there's one person that's going to be able to push them there, it's this man, Jorge Herrera, approaching his 100th cap, and what an amazing way he's been able to do it. This year, once again, leading his team, and so many metrics. The biggest one for him is obviously the goals.
Well, the 37-year-old Colombian seems to do it all, and he just seems to get better with age like a fine wine. He's going to be without the services of Cordell Cato tonight. We'll get into that once we take a look at the lineups after the break. But this man, Jorge Herrera, I mean, he is just oozing with confidence at all times. He's a world-class human being from what Mike Jeffries tells us, and he just embodies what it means to be a player in the United Soccer League.
A great article put out by the USL. If you get a chance, jump onto the website, take a read, and he talks about his love for the game and how all these younger guys underneath him, that he enjoys playing that mentor role, but that he says to them on a regular basis, you guys got to love what you do. Go out, enjoy each and every moment, each and every game, because it goes by fast. He feels like he turned the corner yesterday, just a youngin'. Now he's approaching that 40-year-old mark, but he's doing a great job. He's in excellent form.
Well, Jorge Herrera is chasing after the Golden Boot. To be quite honest, though, I think he would be happy with just 3 points tonight, as Charlotte have lost their last 2. It's more of the same for Penn FC. It's Penn FC and Charlotte Independents when we come back.
I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
My card.
Misplace your debit card? Turn it off with your app.
Excuse me, my card,
This one's gotta be yours, right?
Yes.
And turn it on when you find it.
Almost ready for kickoff here at the Sportsplex at Matthews as the Charlotte Independents and Pennsylvania Football Club make their way out onto the field at the Sportsplex at Matthews. And we'll take a look at how these two teams are trending. Losses in their previous games for both Mike Jeffries' side and this Pennsylvania club who travels to the Charlotte area. And Devin, you know, you take a look at these two teams and really they're probably going to be vying for the same playoff spot at the end of the day.
You got to figure out exactly what you're going to do down the stretch here. And again, both teams got a couple games in hand at home. The most important thing now is to build some momentum, build some rhythm. We saw Charlotte last year go through that midseason form that was absolutely amazing and unfortunately faltered down the stretch. Then we started to turn the corner this year, came out, looked great. They've had to hit that midseason low that a lot of teams had, playing so many games in such a rapid succession. You're going to get a look at the visitors here first. It's a pretty good representation of what we've seen from them in the past. Sometimes they can shift into a 4-1-4-1 with that holding midfielder. Keep an eye on number 4, Kenneth Tribbett. He really makes this team tick. And how about number 77? Big boy up top, Lucky Kosana. He's netted in 5 out of the last 6 games, including 7 goals. He's going to be the one they obviously have to stop. And a late-minute switch here. So we found out that right out of the end from Novon Hill that their left back, Sam Vines, not making the start. So Mike Jeffrey's going to bring in Mutai Mwape. We're not exactly sure what he's going to do here because we're in uncharted territory. We haven't seen this from the boys in the past. Actually said they might go into a 3-back system. That's going to be interesting because he told us he wants to control the middle of the field. You start to shift into a 3-2-3-1, 3-2-3-2, a 3-5-2 of sorts. That'll give you the opportunity to really control the middle of the park. But I guess we're going to get a good idea in the first couple minutes exactly where he's going to play everybody.
Well, our head referee, Jonathan Belinsky, says we're ready to go. We hope you are as well, as we are officially underway from the Sportsplex in Matthews. Tyler Terrans along with ex-German pro Devin Kerr. And as you can see, the Charlotte Independents not sporting their normal all-blue kits, but have a little bit of a different jersey on, and that's in honor of Military Appreciation Night here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. And we usually have great percussion from the likes of the Jacks Militia, who are usually banging on the drum trying to spur their team on to a good 3 points here at home. But in appreciation for Military Appreciation Night, and for those who might have PTSD, those drums can bring up some bad memories. They're going to not drum tonight in honor of those who have served. Jake Arman wins it. Kai Fosser playing out of trouble for the Charlotte Independent side, who are coming off of a very difficult loss against Louisville City FC. And Devin, really, it never looked like Charlotte were going to be in that game. They were giving the ball away time and time again in their own defensive third. And Mike Jeffries just said it was one of those games that they just want to put in the rearview mirror as quickly as possible.
How uncharacteristic of them. You know, you see Charlotte come out, they always like to hold the ball. One of the most efficient squads in the USL, maintaining possession, especially in the defensive third. They do a good job stopping opposition and then moving it up the pitch. But like you said, Tyler, just very out of sorts for them from start to finish. Mike Jeffries likes to finish a game and take some time to let the emotions subside, cool down, get a good look at exactly what went on over the course of the 90 minutes, and then revisit the situation with his boys. This wasn't the case. As soon as that final whistle hit, he definitely stepped up and had a few choice words, to say the least. That's one of those times where, as a teaching situation, you want to step in and really push that authority figure into the limelight and make these guys understand what exactly went wrong.
Some early pressure from Charlotte. Big touch from Ken Tribbett. And it's out of play. And Charlotte earned themselves a deep throw-in. Alex Martinez back into the lineup for Mike Jeffries tonight. As Kai Fosser stripped in the middle of the park. Paulo Jr. comes away with it. His pass intercepted by Kevon George. And it does look like Charlotte and Penn electing to go with a 3-back system. Devin, you and I have called a number of Charlotte games before. Never have we seen Mike Jeffries pull this off, but with all of the injuries that they have, they almost have to.
They played a 3-4-3 early on in the year, but that was the only time we've ever seen it. And you and I actually weren't even on the call. We went and reviewed the game. But even in this situation, you can expect that they're probably going to run 2 up top, I would imagine, really congest the middle of the field. Again, Penn FC, they like to do a lot of stuff in transition. So if you can control the wing play, the middle of the field usually isn't their strong suit, and that's what Mike Jeffries is going for here.
Fosser tracks back and finds Lucky Kosana, Dartmouth grad. Good step from Fosser, but all the way back to Romuald Pizer. Penn FC, their most recent fixture, a 2-1 loss at Ottawa. And before that, it was a 2-1 loss at home against the Richmond Kickers, and their last win came on July 6th against Brendan Burke's Bethlehem Steel. But Penn FC, a side that really struggled out the gates in 2018, but Enter Lucky Kosane. He's just been scoring bags and bags of goals, and they've been able to get themselves in a spot where they can make a late season playoff push. There's aim on Zayed. Stripped of possession. See Mwape over on that far side, committing the foul, and a free kick coming up for Penn FC. Cordell Cato unavailable due to injury for Mike Jeffrey's side tonight. And it's going to be interesting to see how they fare without half of the dynamic duo, one of the leading scoring pairs in the United Soccer League, namely Jorge Herrera and Cordell Cato.
It's another thing for Charlotte on the offensive side of things. Who's going to step up and help out? You mentioned Cato, not able to employ his services here this evening, but Jorge Herrera, his age, although still running along quite efficiently, he can't do everything on his own. Neither can Cato. Some of these other guys really got to start to step up, take advantage of these opportunities that Mike Jeffries is presenting them.
Fosser finding Mwape. Alex Martinez will go all the way back for Bilal Duckett. Notre Dame product. Finding Javon Watson, who's really made a home for himself at that center back position. It's about 5 minutes in. Nothing to write home about for either team so far. Ball in for Zayed. Mwape. As his pass cut out. Kosana trying to keep it for Penn FC. Tribbett just lost it forward, hoping that Paulo Jr. will be able to get there. Dykstra, it looked like was very close to being outside of the box. It has to be the ball that's outside, not the body, and Dykstra most certainly was out of the box, but I guess the assistant referee on the near side was right on the scene, and you actually saw Jonathan Belinsky give a thumbs up to his AR. The offside flag is up. I'll tell you what, Devin, these military appreciation night jerseys are extremely baggy. It sort of has that early 90s feel to it. You know, when you see Alexi Lalas in his playing days in those just ultra baggy uniforms.
I actually threw on one of my U12 jerseys the other day. It still fits. My first state championship jersey as a youth player, and sure enough, it still fits. Makes me feel really good about myself, but you're spot on. Those big baggy jerseys, you can remember pulling them on and they came right down to your mid-forearm. You felt great about yourself, though. They just flowed in the wind.
But now all the jerseys today are just so tight-fitting, and if you see it like the Mwape jersey, it's like a dress on him. Similar for Alex Martinez, but they're sharp and they bring back some good memories.
They're definitely good-looking jerseys. They are very similar to the '94 Red, White, and Blue World Cup unis, the kits that USA wore when the World Cup was here in the United States. Little who wore it better action. I'm going with Armin. Jake Armin on the left, killing it.
Watson in some trouble. Kosana providing the pressure, and Javon Watson, not sure if the Panthers are looking for a running back, gave a mean stiff arm. Ty Foster sporting military appreciation night jersey, as well as a nice looking mustache. And famous toastery presenting military appreciation night here at the Sportsplex at Matthews.
And can you guess who will score the first goal tonight? All
Joel
you do
Johnson.
is fill out the Guess the Goal entry on your game program and return it to the Guest Relations stand located near the main entrance. If you guess correctly, you could be going home with an autographed Independence jersey.
Rather pedestrian start from both sides. Armin, heavy second touch. Collected by Paulo Jr. Gets it away.
Good tackle. Well done, Alex.
And Alex Martinez, as usual, putting in the effort on the defensive side. Loses control. Penn FC trying to restart quickly. Dennis sends it across. And Kosana unable to get there. And I have to imagine it was written in all bold and caps on the Charlotte Independent scout sheet. Do not give Kosana any room to breathe inside the penalty area. Kosana with 7 goals this season in 15 appearances. Ken Tribbett actually from that center back position, second in scoring for Penn FC. He's got 5. Most of those coming off of set pieces using his noggin. Coming over for the Bethlehem Steel in the offseason. Moape, good pressure. Nasty challenge from behind by Watson. Penn FC restart quickly. Seen them do that a couple of times already.
Select is the official soccer ball.
Alex Martinez on the move.
For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit
Alex Martinez, 364 days without a goal. His last one coming July 29th in a 4-0 rout of the Bethlehem Steel. When we were talking with Mike Jeffries, he's not concerned by any stretch of the imagination by the lack of goal-scoring production from Alex, because they say that they have great communication, that Alex's competitive spirit is always high, and that they know what they expect from Alex, and Alex knows what they expect from him. So it really seems to be okay as long as he's creating. But I'm sure Cordell Cato and Jorge Herrera would love a little bit of support in the goal-scoring department.
Some of that pressure was put on Alex because of the notoriety that his brother Enzo was receiving, and he just doesn't. He's a different player, doesn't put up the same numbers, and that's okay. Like you said, Tyler, he's a creator. Enzo more of a facilitator, like to be open the space. Recently getting his first 2 goals for the Colorado Rapids. Congratulations on that. But, you know, for Alex, he's also dealt with some injury issues this year and really fluctuating out of the starting lineup. That's hard for him, someone who was such a consistent name on the roster last year in that starting 11, and even sometimes coming off the bench, but regularly in the starting 11. That really does something to someone's psyche when you start to have all these setbacks. You start questioning yourself. So continuing to build that confidence is where they want to get him back to.
First corner kick of the night in favor of the home side, the Charlotte Independents. European veteran Kai Fosser on top of it. And corner kicks brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Chick-fil-A. Fosser towards the back post. Pizer is there, and Pizer collects. And Jonathan Belinsky having a brief word with Bilal Duckett as he was a little bit late into the challenge, and good showman of sportsmanship. Venter. Moape on the turn. Definitely, we've seen this from Charlotte at home a lot recently. It's a slow start, but I think it's methodical and it's planned out for Mike Jeffries.
Well, he plans everything, doesn't he? I mean, he's got everything to a T, and you can also understand the hesitancy as well, coming out, not a lot of confidence on there, and we just talked about it for one player, Alex Martinez. How about for the whole squad, really lacking the past few games? So it's not the worst thing to come out, have a nice casual kickabout, and just figure out exactly what direction you're going to head in. Gives a chance for you to settle into the match and gain that energy and emotion. Obviously, you mentioned no drums tonight from Jack's Militia, but they'll still make their voice heard, and they love to get behind this squad, and that's a good thing for them. So taking 10, 15 minutes, just feeling things out, I like the direction for the Independents.
But hurry, fans, bidding ends at 9 p.m.
You can see there that first half goals from the Independents. Kosana and Bilal Duckett get tied up. No call. And then Joel Johnson gets absolutely drilled along the byline. Foul will be called. Jonathan Belinsky going over to have a conversation with whom it looks like Walter Ramirez, the newly minted member of Penn FC, making his debut tonight.
Don't often see Joel Johnson get knocked off the ball like that. And again, you come through with a pretty heavy elbow, caught off guard.
Menjivar was trying to squeeze his way through. First time these two teams have met in 2018. Not much separating them. Very much a chess battle in the middle of the field so far. Johnson, clever work to get out of trouble. Now it's Fosser. But Fosser with an uncharacteristic sloppy touch. Entry pass squeezes through. Kosana bothered again. Alex Martinez trying to pull one of the oldest tricks in the book. It's Paolo Jr. putting on the brakes. Good defending from Jake Arman. Excellent first touch from Herrera. Moape. Fosser finding Alex Martinez out on the left wing. Through ball for Moape. And shielded off by Marco Franco. Herrera in his 100th appearance for the Independents. Putting in the dirty work. Good sliding challenge. Keeps it for Charlotte. Kai Fosser. Arman with a throw in right in front of Penn FC head coach Raul Voss in his first season. 35-year-old from Germany. Arman unable to get there. Cleared away by Fosser. There was one other game that was already completed today in the Western Conference, or Eastern Conference, I should say. That was Louisville City taking down Ottawa Fury by a score of 3-0. It's really a complete performance from the Purples, the champions, from start to finish. Goals from Speedy Williams, Paolo Piccolo, as well as Paco Craig. Not normally the names that you are used to hearing when talking about a Louisville score sheet. They did it all without starting Cameron Lancaster and Sean Tosh. And they are now in a tie with the Charleston Battery. Although Charleston already underway against the Richmond Kickers as the Eastern Conference table continues to come to fruition. Kosana.
Everybody in the Eastern Conference still chasing FC Cincinnati. Alan Koch and the boys definitely found the right recipe for success at Nippert. The biggest thing for them, though, we knew what they could do offensively, but defensively, they've really done a good job at solidifying things in their back line.
Kosana trying to bring it down. Javon Watson trying to clear it away. Takes a wicked bounce. Now it's out for Ramirez. Walter Ramirez sends it across. Bilal Duckett is there, breaks it up. Long range effort. Dinked over the top. And Dykstra claims that to be his own.
Exclusive stories directly from the USL's players at USLsoccer.com's From the Pitch, with written and video content that provides unfiltered access and a first-person look into the professional game and players' everyday lives.
Ramirez again on the move, and the delivery not nearly as menacing as the first one. Player down for the Independents, as the short sleeve button down king of Charlotte continuing to make in-game adjustments, Mr. Mike Jeffries, 1983 Mac Hermann winner.
He's going with that midnight blue tonight. I like it. Really brings out his eyes.
Get lost in those eyes. Well, Pizer doesn't have much work to do. Neither goalkeeper really has, as Moape continues to shake it off. Rookie whom Mike Jeffries said that is probably going to evolve into a fan favorite, as we'll get another look at the foul.
You see Mattia going one-on-one in the situation, and it's just Paulo getting around, and his arm comes around the outside, catches him across the face. It's one of those ones that are never going to be too threatening over the long term, but catches you off guard. Nice little stinger.
Update on the Charleston game. 2-0 in favor of the Battery over the Richmond Kickers. And how about that? Devin pointing out North Carolina FC 1-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Riverhounds at halftime. As you get a look at some veterans soaking in some Jacks football on Military Appreciation Night. And Nick Rittmeyer with both goals for the Battery, as they're looking to create a little bit of separation between themselves and Louisville. As Moape back out onto the scene.
Please enjoy 1775 Pale Ale at tonight's game.
Dan Metzger.
Also visit Jack's House Soccer Bar in the Elizabeth neighborhood near American Legion Memorial Stadium, or stop by No Dog Brewing to get your own pint of 1775.
There's a good look at Charlotte shifting right into that four-back formation, starting off on the 3, but they made the shift quite early on, right around the 4th or 5th minute. Jake Armin's employing the position of left back now instead of Sam Vines, who we were initially told was getting the nod. Done quite well so far.
Switching the point of attack is Penn FC. On the scene is Jorge Herrera. For 37 years old, covers quite a bit of ground.
Could bode well for a nice matchup with Jake Armin on the left taking on Paulo and overlapping runs with Alex Martinez. It's a good opportunity for those two speedsters to combine with each other. And Alex does a great job facilitating play in transition moving forward. We've referenced this before. Mike Jeffries saying that he thinks his squad this year tactically much more talented in transition than last year, and that is saying something considering the names that they had offensively. Again, a lot of those guys carrying over to this starting 11, but when you lose some of the big names out there and then add additions, like Jake Armin, Cordell Cato, Mattia Moape, Kai Foster in the middle, all those guys giving you the opportunity to explode in transition. Try and capitalize on that a little more. They've done well in the middle of the park, but haven't seen a lot from wing play. And we talked about this off here. That could be a tactical thing, avoiding that at all costs. But at the same point in time, Penn FC have exposed themselves 2 or 3 times on this near touchline with Alex Martinez, but he needs to stay in communication with Jake Armin in those overlapping runs.
Well, as Devin mentioned, Armin filling in for Sam Vines, who was slotted to start. Quite literally a game-time decision. Vines coming off of his first ever appearance for the Colorado Rapids, Charlotte Independence, and the Rapids, not an official affiliation, but an affiliation nonetheless. And Vines going around 70 minutes in a 2-2 draw against Real Salt Lake, just 18 years young. And he has gotten a boatload of experience with Mike Jeffries due to the injury to Donnie Smith, as he just continues to miss game after game. Really unfortunate, as Eamon Zayat called offside. Boy, Jonathan Belinsky's been doing his push-ups.
Who wins? Him or one of our personal favorite FIFA referees, Howard Webb? The two of them going at it.
I think Jonathan Belinsky wins that in a landslide.
He wasn't too happy with Eamon Zayed a second ago.
You're talking about a game of checkers, right?
Correct.
Kosana wins the header. Here's Dennis. Shouts for a handball, not given. Back for Kosana. Looking to link up. Herrera gets to it. Fosser puts in a good challenge. The Jacks are off and running. Fosser leading the charge. Out wide for Moape. Moape towards the back post, trying to pick out Zayed. And cleared away by Paulo Jr. Only as far as Armin. Moape. Charlotte setting up camp in Penn FC territory. In for Alex Martinez. Putting the moves on. But his pass takes a deflection. And good work from Jake Armin. Cuts it out. Penn FC. Cough up possession.
We'd like to thank all of you for your continued support over the past 13 years.
Best spell of movement we've seen from Charlotte in Penn FC territory thus far.
And the biggest thing for them, the reason they've been able to get into those dangerous areas is the interchangeability of all the players. You saw a moment ago, Alex Martinez all the way on the right touchline. Jake Armin tucked into the inside, and Kai Fosser in the overlapping run. That's what they need. Continue to keep Penn FC guessing in the transitional play.
Alex Martinez called for the foul. Boy, that was some nifty one-touch passing that Penn FC had going on in about a 5-yard radius. Able to play themselves out of trouble.
You see the team wearing tonight. All you have to do is go to charlotteindependence.com and click on the banner at the top. Or you can
Good look at Alex Martinez showing him the ropes. Very kind, very polite of him. 26 minutes in, still trying to shake hands.
Oh, it was more of a do-si-do.
But hurry, fans, we have about 1 hour remaining in the auction.
Why don't we ever dance like that?
You can dance if you want to. And leave your friends behind.
Moape. And a foul called against the youngster.
If I'd known that this wouldn't get back to Mike Jeffries, I'd probably start singing. But I know the next time that we talk that he'd probably have a few words to say to you and I. No more Sunday barbecues. No more Swedish fish. For all you out there that don't know the reference to Swedish fish, that happens to be Mike Jeffries' personal favorite candy.
Well, this isn't too sweet for Charlotte until Javon Watson was able to break it up. And Mike Jeffries obviously extremely fit. You know, could probably suit up tonight if he wanted to. And the reason, the secret behind his longevity is his golden rule. He doesn't have many diet rules, but he does have one that he's 6'2" incessantly, as there's some discrepancy as to who that was off of last. Lucky Kosana claims that it was off Alex Martinez, but indeed it will be a goal kick. But back to the matter at hand. Mike Jeffries, he either will have an adult beverage or two with dinner, or he'll have dessert, but never both.
That makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Don't overindulge. I said this to you off air before we came on as I was enjoying a gummy candy myself. There's a good look at the main man. That you, everything in moderation, including moderation.
I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
It makes perfect sense.
Almost at the half-hour mark here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Neither team really able to muster up too much. Duckett. Devin, you were just motioning for Charlotte maybe to move the ball a little bit quicker. Is it too slow coming out of the back?
100%. I don't mind the ball going between the two center backs. But as soon as that transitional ball comes into the middle or comes out to the outside, it can't be these 2-3 touch balls. It's giving Penn FC an opportunity to close those passing lanes down. So right now, Kai gets the ball, plays one outside. The next touch has to be a second one, and it's got to be one touch. He'll pop it right back in and out. Make them chase, make them, let the ball do the work, make them chase. And as that happens, as you move down the field, it's slowly going to open up more lanes. And that's what we saw about 3-4 minutes ago. Even though they were condensed into the final third, their ability to 1-2 touch pretty quickly gave them the chance to get in behind Penn FC. They weren't able to get anything out of it, but it's the most threatening we've seen them in the opening 30 minutes.
Zayed a little overzealous trying to win the ball back.
Carolina Golf Cars, Charlotte's only authorized dealer for Club
Into the
Car,
30th minute.
Yamaha, and Easy Go. Come see the area's largest inventory of customized golf cars at 8740 Wilkinson Boulevard or visit CarolinaGolfCars.com. Carolina Golf Cars, the Carolina's premier golf car dealership.
There's Aaron Dennis, a couple of runners in the box. Kosana and Paulo Jr. Great little back heel. That's really well done, but the second one letting Penn FC down as Joel Johnson looking to spark the counterattack. Good ball forward, and a throw-in coming up for the Jacks. In for Johnson. Great first touch, able to draw the free kick, and a very real set-piece opportunity coming up for the home side.
How good was that first touch? Nice ball down the touchline, goes with the back heel right up over the top. Clever use of the right foot. Always smart stuff by Joel Johnson. This could be a good look for Charlotte Independence. The question is what are they going to do with it? Unfortunately, due to the angle, you're not going to be able to have a rip on goal. So you expect something floated to the back post, but I've liked some of the things we've seen over the past couple games. Not a lot offensively, but they've been able to knock that ball to the back post, bring something back across, and a second look across the six.
Foster sent in. Pizer thought he had time to be able to catch that. Punches it away only as far as Moape, but Kosana comes away with it. And look at Kosana's third touch. A little bit heavy. Hydration break. Here in Matthews, Jorge Herrera and company, not able to really penetrate this Penn FC defense, but either team holding strong in the middle of the field and at the back. As we'll take a look at some of the leading goal scorers in the United Soccer League, Jorge Herrera being one of them. Number 10 on 10 goals, and these are the top two. Thomasina Voltson and Atula Guerra, 11 goals on this season. Charleston lead 2-0 right now, but neither goal coming from Mr. Guerra and Thomasina Voltson. How good has he been for Orange County this season?
Braden Cloutier has really stepped in there and done a nice job. And Indy Voltson with the likes of Aiden Quinn have been able to get things going out there. Atula Guerra started slow, but has really picked up the pace, and he's been very impressive. One of the numbers that isn't up there, someone that I feel like should be discussed. How about Ledesma? Just hit 10 assists on the season, 2 behind the USL record of 12. I mean, 12 games left, 13 games left for them. It's been impressive for FC Cincinnati, but these two, running the numbers up top, have been men amongst boys, to say the least. Cameron Lancaster, 10 goals. How many games has he missed? 15 games played. I mean, that's insane. I mean, he's had every sort of injury, the Iron Man for them, and they've had a boatload going on out there, not just for Cameron Lancaster and the injury, but we referenced it earlier, the departure of James O'Connor, their head coach, heading down to Orlando City. The three boys stepping in, taking over the helm, and it took them some time, but I'll tell you what, it seems like they found their form now.
Well, I asked Matt Stubbington, one of the other analysts for the United Soccer League, who he would put his money on as far as the Golden Boot was concerned, and he gave an interesting answer. He said Cam Iwasa. So I posed the question to you, Mr. Kerr, if you were a betting man, which I know you are not, who would you put a few shekels on?
That's a good question. I'd really have to take a look.
And I know it's a good question. That's why I asked.
Who everybody's playing. You didn't ask it. Who everybody's playing down the stretch and take a look at the schedules. I think the defensive squads in general are better in the Eastern Conference. Now, what I mean by that is there are some top-notch defensive squads. Phoenix has done very well for themselves. Obviously, the Real Monarchs, Orange County, which we referenced. But then if you take a look at the rest, it really starts to fall off right around the 6-7 mark. I don't think you can make that case in the Eastern Conference. In the Eastern Conference, you get so many more teams that can defend on a regular basis, but the explosivity we've seen in the final third from the Western Conference teams isn't as much. So I would probably say someone in the Western Conference makes more sense. But
wow,
again,
you really narrowed it down there, didn't you?
You know, I hesitate to say it because there are so many players. Cami Wassa, I get. Though Cameron Lancaster's finding ways.
It's just it's a guesstimate. Go, don't think about it. 3, 2, 1. You're bad at this.
Terrible.
You're
I'm
so
really
bad
at this. I'm really bad. I apologize.
I think you know a guy.
Think I know a guy? I think you know a guy.
Well, we've resumed play.
Everybody on the other end of this is hating me right now. They hate the fact that I haven't brought an answer. Like, just say it. Say it. Sorry, guys and girls. My apologies.
Oh, Junior unable to get there. Javon Watson shielding it off well. Sends it into space. Kai Fosser. Good ball out for Moape. Joel Johnson racing to overlap. Number 11. Ball slipped through. Johnson won't be able to get there. Pizer off of his line.
That's the right look for the Independents. Unfortunately, Johnson actually thought he was going to get it down in the channel. Didn't realize that space was going to open up on the back line by Penn FC.
Alex Martinez finding Herrera. Moape. Very shifty. Fosser. Fosser gets the return. Lobbed in. Zayed is there, as is Armin. Armin putting the brakes on. Really well done. Jersey native has a shot blocked. Tell you what, when they're asked to, this Penn back line will really lock up when Charlotte continue to threaten.
Charlotte Soccer Academy, the Wounded Warrior Project.
It's exactly what I was just talking about in the Eastern Conference, more of the defensive teams and their ability to shapeshift of sorts. Armin wins the challenge on a somewhat of a 50-50 ball in the middle of the box. He takes that touch to his right. You expect him to have a crack at goal, and just like that, everybody able to close down the space in front of him and then go the other way with Paolo Jr.
Lofted ahead, Alex Martinez nods it in front of him. And a good challenge from Franco. Martinez back out on his feet.
You'd like to bring onto an Independence game. Visit the guest
Fosser.
relations stand located near our merchandise tent to learn more about discounted group pricing.
Clever play from Armin, who's really growing into the season. Didn't have a ton of appearances for the first 10, 15 games or so, but due to the slew of injuries that the Charlotte Independents have had to endure, really making his mark. Johnson sends it in. Ken Tribbett is there. Moape again. Decent idea. Cut out by Tribbett. And a foul coming out the other way. More strong defending from Penn FC, but has to be a little bit concerning for Raul Foss. At his side, can't really get a foot on the ball.
See, over the past 7-8 minutes, Charlotte not necessarily dictating the tempo of the game, but having the better run of play for sure. Like you said, Tyler, defensively, everybody on Penn FC able to step up. And I want to track back to your comment about Jake Armin a second ago, because before the FC Cincinnati game, chatting with Mike Jeffries, I asked him about him directly, and I said, you know, I noticed that you've been switching him over to the right side. And he said, look, the versatility we've been able to get out of him over the course of the season isn't something we expected when we first signed him. You know, we picked him up, they used him primarily on the left side of midfield, and then they were able to move him to the right side. And tonight's a great representation of that, because last minute scratch from Sam Bynes at left back, and they plop him right in there. He's done such a good job.
Over for Martinez. Franco was asking for the offside flag. He won't get it. Armin trailing. Alex Martinez back for Fosser. Fosser not his best delivery. Zayed trying to track back. Jonathan Belinsky was going to let it play on. Elects to award the free kick to Penn FC. Well, as a young player in this league, Devin, and for youngsters who are watching, how beneficial can it be to not be pigeonholed into one position, but to be able to be versatile and step in wherever you need to, maybe with the exception of keeper if you're a field player?
Well, that's Ricardo Farino. He's the striker for Las Vegas, if you ask him, even though he's the netminder. No, it's massive. You have to be universal. You have to continuously keep your thought process open to playing other positions. You see so many players coming up through the youth ranks that start off as these top-notch center forwards and then slowly make their way back. Rumor has it that Tyler Terrence was once employed in that fashion, though that lane closed down almost immediately.
What is that supposed to be?
You start off as a center forward and striker scoring all these goals at the youth level, and then as you progress through the ranks, you move into the midfield and move into the back line. That's what you need to do. Don't close yourself off. You don't have to be this star-studded position player. The notoriety of a big-time center back is just as good as some center forwards out there. And unfortunately, kids get that thought process locked down where they have to be the one scoring all the goals all the times, and that's not the case. Yes, most of the coaches, usually the most influential players on your field are either your goalkeeper, your center back, or a holding midfielder. Those are the guys that the rest of your team looks to.
Offside flag is up. Charlotte had a chance to counter. Moape's pass was intercepted by the Penn FC back line, which has really been the story for both of these teams as moving to the final 5 minutes of the first half here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Johnson trying to turn and keep it in play, but the ball did travel over the line. Walter Ramirez, the Honduran who we mentioned, just recently signing with Penn FC, making his debut. Most recently seen with Puerto Rico FC. Spent some time with the Rowdies and San Antonio Scorpions in his previous playing years. Kevon George able to win it. Still remains with Penn FC. As we are officially into the 43rd minute of play. Kosana. Good first touch out wide to Ramirez. Able to scoot around. Moape. Ball whipped in. Kosana is there. Actually got a touch to it. Not exactly sure how that happened, but goal kick coming up for Andrew Dykstra.
It's one of those quick flashes we've seen from Lucky Kosana in games past. And if you haven't had the chance to see him, this is what he can do. You turn your head for 1 minute, he sneaks in behind you, gets the tiniest of spaces, and like you said, just that little touch getting behind the back line. Andrew Dykstra definitely had it covered, but Bilal Duckett, Javon Watson, got to keep your head on a swivel.
Lucky Kosana, as we mentioned. Dartmouth grad, able to pick up this loose ball. Lets it fly, and Dykstra has to make the save. He spills it, but nobody was following it up for the visitors. And Kosana, knowing that he had some teammates to his left or right, puts his hand up as an apology, but I don't think anybody on his side is going to be upset with him taking a shot with the recent form that he's been in.
And Colorado Rapids Loney steps up, makes a good save here. Lucky, not overly threatening from that distance, doesn't get enough on it, keeps it on the ground, but the 1-2-3 hops right in front of Dykstra. You can see the pitch, not the best that we've seen it in the past. Comes up off the top. Little hop, skip, and a jump, but a good save from Dykstra.
Here's Zayed into the area. Lost it across. Pizer snatches it. Kosana bringing it down. And a foul in the middle of the park on Kevon George. Devin, you don't like that call?
I don't agree with it at all. Kasana gives the ball away. George steps in. They both are fighting for it, and he starts to pull his jersey the other direction. He can't get his body back around to maneuver, and Kasana just continuously moves him in the way that he wants. You're going to get another look at exactly what went on. So as the ball comes in here, he faults himself on the touch. Now that he turns around, they're both pulling. I mean, there's no foul there. They're both pulling each other. Let them play. You think the ref can hear me? Let them play. We'll get there.
Lofted in. Penn FC picking up the second ball. And for those of you who don't know, there's not much that Devin Kerr thinks is a foul.
Just honest. I tell it how I see it.
I know, but
I like to let the boys play.
Yeah.
They can sort it out for themselves on the field.
Sure.
Police themselves. You can't say it with a straight
4
face.
minutes of stoppage time.
But to be honest, how many times have you gone out and played in a pickup game?
Hold that thought. Joel Johnson played in behind. It was a good idea looking for Alex Martinez. Still might fall for Herrera, but Pizer with Spidey-like senses. Alert to the danger.
It's good ball movement from Charlotte, and I actually like the idea from Joel Johnson trying to pick out the trailing run on the far post. I'll tell you, someone who gets bailed out in this situation is number 14 from Penn FC, Richard Menjivar. Plays the ball right back into the 6. But we were talking about it, Tyler. How many times have you gone out with your friends or even just a local pickup game and there's 22 players on the pitch? Whether you're playing full-sided or small-sided, doesn't matter the numbers. And you guys are able to control yourselves. You're able to take care of the situation, call your own fouls. You give me that win. So I don't know what goes on up in Jersey. So I tell you, down here in Florida,
listen,
we know how to get it done. We know exactly what's going on.
I'm not putting it on my fellow New Jerseyans, such as a Jake Armand, but I know for me, I was never one that dealt with referees or dealt with calls well, and there are certain things that some people think are a foul and some others. That's why a referee is an opinion-based job. And different referees have different styles. Jonathan Belinsky, on that particular occasion, it was a style that you didn't agree with, which is perfectly okay.
Seems that seems to be the theme going around. Anyway, so I can tell you this, though. At the youth level, I played with a lot of kids from Charlotte soccer, and some big boys. They were good players, and a lot of them actually played on the regional and national pools, and a couple pickup games with them, able to police ourselves. We're all friends. I don't think you would have been invited to our game.
No?
No.
What about the team you just invited me on?
You would have been calling fouls all over the place.
Well, I wasn't saying that, just more so on the other side that somebody's going to call a foul on me that I believe to be a clean play. We're on the same page. We're on the same team. Friendship team. Well, if our banter is any indication of how this game has gone, there haven't been a ton of chances for either side as we're into the 48th minute of play. But Charlotte trying to change all that. Fosser sliding it through. Seconds fall for Herrera. Just trying to get it out wide. Forced to go back to Moape. Ramirez very loose with the ball. Penn FC, maybe one last run left in them. Franco sliding it through. Paulo Jr. Denied by Javon Watson. And a corner kick coming up for Penn FC right before the halftime whistle.
Penn FC corner kick taken by number 14, Richard Menjivar.
Whole mess of players in red and white jerseys right in the middle of the penalty area. Sent in. Cosano was there. Armand got a touch to it. And Moape clears it away only as far as Franco. Tribbett nods it back in. Metzger's delivery. Well, Duckett with a defensive header there. Jonathan Belinsky says that's enough for the first half. Not a whole lot to talk about. Don't really have anything written down. Devin Curry, your thoughts?
I like the touch by Marco Franco a second ago. That was impressive. You can see the frustration of both squads coming out, but it was quiet first half. The good thing is for the Charlotte Independents, you can see there is some energy there. There is a little bit of a spark. Unfortunately, Mike Jeffries is going to have to stoke that at halftime to turn that into a nice glowing flame in the second half. They possess the capability, just haven't really seen it come full circle. But in the second half, another 45 minutes, a good opportunity for the Independents to gain that momentum we talked about and continue the chase for the playoff race.
Both teams have not won a contest in their last 2 games. They're currently tied here at halftime. Only one shot on target. Heading to the halftime show. Stay with us.
Oh, I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
¡Mi tarjeta!
¿No encuentras tu tarjeta de débito? Desactívala con tu app.
Disculpa, estoy buscando mi tarjeta.
Esta es la tuya, ¿cierto?
Sí.
Y cuando la encuentres, vuélvela a activar.
Big intermission here on Military Appreciation Night between the Charlotte Independents and the Penn Football Club. Couple of goose eggs up on the scoreboard. And there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about, not a whole lot done on the field, but we're hoping all that is going to change. The last time we were talking about that sort of start with the Charlotte Independents against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, there ended up being 4 goals in the second half, split right down the middle, finishing off with Dom Oduro's SportsCenter top 10 strike. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. And for this Penn FC side, that's not going to play another home game until September 8th. Here's their upcoming schedule. Or pardon, just their next game, which is going to be against John Wolinek's New York Red Bulls 2. Certainly an enigma. Never really know what you're going to get with this very young, ambitious, and always talented side. And it should be a very interesting contest. New York Red Bulls 2 currently sitting in a playoff position. Should be a good one.
They've got to deal with some difficult stuff here. And talked about John Wolyniak, New York Red Bull 2, and then they have to go to Nippert after that. I mean, I'm taking a look at the schedule right now. This is absolutely insane, but first things first, final 45 here, then 90 minutes versus Red Bull 2, and you never know what you're going to get with New York Red Bull 2. They'll come out, drop 5-6 on you, and then turn around, and you can do the same to them in a fortnight or so, but there's an exact look of what Penn FC has to run. Somewhat of a gauntlet. You would think that the Richmond Kickers game is probably the easiest one on that schedule, but look, Bethlehem Steel have come out. They've shown the ability to get it done at Nippert versus FC Cincinnati, coming back, tying 2-2. Popovich Nikola is getting it done for Ottawa. They're starting to hit their stride, so a lot of work for this squad to get back into the playoff race. Again, looking up right now. Not looking good for them.
Not necessarily. And for the Charlotte Independents, their next match is going to be against Brendan Burke's Bethlehem Steel, who like New York Red Bulls too. And those two teams actually rivals, very similar, always talented, always young, and never really know what you're going to get as far as the lineup is concerned. And these two teams, whenever they get together, it seems to be very lopsided. I remember last year's game on July 29th, Alex Martinez's last goal actually was a 4-0 win for the Charlotte Independents. And then Bethlehem gave them one back at the beginning of this year. So we never know what we get out of that little matchup there. And here's a look at what Mike Jeffrey's side is going to be looking at over the next few weeks. And there's a couple of tough games on here. At Highmark against Bob Lilly and the sometimes defensive-minded Pittsburgh River Rhinos. And then obviously home against Nashville and at North Carolina FC. And just throw in the champions on August 22nd as well. The Jacks, the Purples won.
And the good news is that they get to play Louisville and Nashville at home, so that's a good thing. They don't have to travel because it's extremely difficult to play Slugger Field and then going to Nashville, which is a super fun town to hang out at, by the way, in case you've never been.
I have.
But I'll tell you what, it was funny chatting with Mike Jeffries about the Bethlehem Steel matchup that's coming up, because said some days you just don't have the magic. We'd like to forget that one. We were taken down 4-1, and traveling over, you take a look at the Western Conference standings so far. You've been under a rock, and that's okay because a lot of us have been. How about the #1 and #2 matchup tonight? Phoenix Rising traveling to Zions Bank Stadium to take on Real Monarchs. That should be a fun one.
Hands up if you're excited for Phoenix and the Monarchs. There's 4 hands up in the room. There's only 2 people in here. So you guys do the math. So massive game between Sebastian Velasquez and the Monarchs and Jason Johnson and the Phoenix Rising. And the standings here brought to you by Wells Fargo. Here's a look on the other side of the Mississippi River. FC Cincinnati just seemed to be getting it done. Charleston Battery are 3-0 up on the Richmond Kickers, so they're probably going to be on 38 points, while Louisville City, couple games in hand, on 35. You see Charlotte below the playoff line. Ottawa lost today. Great opportunity for Charlotte to leapfrog into a playoff position.
They can move up and make some strides. Indy 11 kind of holding form. They've fluctuating between that 4 and 7 role for a while. Nashville definitely dropping. Red Bull 2 coming back into the picture. They were quiet for a long period of time, but again, we talked about John Wolyniak and his ability to employ that press in the 4-3-3 that they like to play in. But even with the games in hand, we've talked about this before, Tyler. It's one of those situations where you still got to go out and get the job done. You said it, FC Cincinnati, Alan Koch, home or away, they know how to get it done on a regular basis. Ledesma, Albadawi, I mean, you name it. All of those guys really firing on all cylinders.
Well, we've talked about the USL. Now we want to show you some stuff about the USL. Week 19 highlights. Who doesn't like watching some goals, some saves, and some skills galore? Hope you enjoy.
The Wounded Warrior Project.
It's Schreiber, and it's 1-0 Richmond.
That didn't come off very well. This ball headed in. Important save by McIntosh.
Fury going forward again. Here's a left-foot shot.
And across in front, header is down and it's kicked away. Herrera, 2 great saves. Oh my gosh, 3.
And for Herrera, has some time and space, lets it fly. That is sensational from Herrera.
Lots of traffic in there. Gets lost. Oh, how about myself? Wow. Ward. Near post. Oh, what a finish by Charlie Ward.
And we'll take the shot, and Ferrigno, an important parry with his right hand.
Ramos Godoy cutting onto his right and strikes, and it goes in.
Go with the right foot, and he's stopped. Isley finding a Watson with a strike, and it's number 10 on the year. Chance here for Pittsburgh. Into Brad.
Oh, what a save again.
Kuzminski.
And it will be Salgado to strike, and he puts it in the back of the net.
Brian Obi working on fines. Obi is off the crossbar.
Moreno with the shot, and he beats McGuire.
Gian, first time. Becker down low. And Goita down low as well with the save.
The Trent sends some service in, taking off the chest by Greg, who strikes and scores.
In on goal, Callie Brown off of his line. Frater denied by Brown.
Shot from distance. Tambakis with the ball, with the save.
Lopez onside the ball. Cheto Guzman almost rolling in. San Antonio FC on top, 3-1.
My card.
Misplace your debit card? Turn it off with your app.
Excuse me, my card.
This one's gotta be yours, right?
Yes.
And turn it on when you find it.
Oh, I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
Almost ready for the second half kickoff here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. 0-0 between the Charlotte Independents and Penn FC. Tyler Terrans along with the incomparable, none other than the ex-German pro Devin Kerr. So glad that you can join us on this marvelous Saturday evening. And look at these jerseys. Already mentioned them once, and it looks like we are going to have a substitution at the half. Richie Perez coming on. We'll tell you who he's coming on for in just a moment. And we did mention Military Appreciation Night. Jack's Militia staying away from the drums tonight in honor of those who suffer from PTSD. And it's Richie Perez who comes in for Kai Fosser. Didn't necessarily think he had a terrible first half. There might be some rotation, leg-saving ideologies behind that. It looks like Jonathan Belinsky is ready to go for the second half. We hope you are as well, and we hope it's a tad more exciting than the first 45 minutes. Devin, if you're Mike Jeffries, what's the message to the guys in the locker room?
Well, he's sending some of it with Richie Perez, bringing him on. Kai Fosser, like you said, not great, not bad. Just kind of a quiet constant in the first 45 minutes, and that's where you need the mental thought process. You need it to be much quicker, especially in the final third. Defensively, they've been sound, but the gaps were closing way too fast. And Penn FC structured so well defensively that they're not going to give you a lot of opportunities. So when you do start to break them down, you have to go quicker in transition. Really only saw it 3 or 4 times from the Independents in the first half. A lot of it was actually in overlapping runs that we talked about. Jake Arman on the left and Joel Johnson on the right. One of them turning into the free kick that we saw, a half chance, ball floated in. And you saw goalkeeper Pizer stepping up for Penn FC, making a good save, but they need this movement in the middle to be faster. And you can see it right now. Ball's got to go in transition, play the ball outside, and then knock something down in. These one-on-one runs are good, but they have to be great.
Johnson, decent ball across. Pizer falls on top of it. And right off the bat, some electric play from Charlotte, which for the most part was non-existent in the first 45 minutes. Penn FC going the other way. There was a foul. I believe it was on Jake Arman. Jonathan Belinsky is going to bring it back, and that has to be a card. Indeed it is. Arman, the New Jersey native, being shown mustard here in the 47th minute. He is the first player to go into the book of Jonathan Belinsky. And if you're Jake Arman, Belinsky probably the last referee you want to get in an argument with in the United Soccer League.
You can see a lot of frustration from the New Jersey native, and as this starts to go the other direction, we were just applauding Charlotte Independence. Penn FC stepping up, giving a taste of their own medicine, countering the other direction with this long ball over the top of the back line. You can see Armin tracking back, having to deal with the speed of Aaron Dennis, and unfortunately just gets caught up. He's not trying to foul him. Their feet just knock a little bit, and it's one of those situations where the referee steps in. You force his hand, he has to show the yellow card. So a dangerous spot for Penn FC, but it was a good job by Armin, at least tracking back and understanding the threat coming his direction.
So a good set piece coming up for the visitors. We're looking for a big 3 points that at the moment would send them into a playoff spot. Ramirez on top of the set piece. Not a bad ball in by any means. But it looks like it was Venter and Eamon Zayed who get tied up. Now, I had a conversation with a couple of USL fans on Twitter about collars on jerseys. You and I are in agreement that the Penn FC kits are class, as are Bethlehem Steel's whites.
Quality. I like collars. This is the ball floated in, and wow, how about 22, Harry Hawkins, not reading the same book as the service coming in. He had a load of space in front of him. I'm curious to the rest of your conversation. What happened? What were they saying to you?
I would say that collars are reserved for rugby, and it doesn't look good. Speaking of looking good, Alex Martinez, a good-looking ball to Herrera. Intended for Eamon Zayed was the delivery.
Novant Health is the official healthcare provider of your Charlotte Independence.
Lucky Kosana sends it the other way. Watson will be able to deal with it. It was actually one of the main Phoenix Rising fans who's
located field level on the south
Scottish, and I showed him a picture of Steven Gerrard in an English kit with the collar. And I said, "You're telling me this doesn't look good to you?" And he said, "Well, it's England. Nothing looks good." So
wow,
I wasn't really able to have a conversation with him about it.
Wow. I know who you're talking about.
Ramirez taken down. Jonathan Belinsky awarding Penn FC another free kick. Charlotte need to be careful here because Penn FC have a lot of big bodies, and most of their goals this year have come from dead balls. Specifically, Ken Tribbett, Walter Ramirez with some good skill, and Joel Johnson, just a little bit of a late challenge.
You can see the quick footwork by Walter Ramirez getting around Mwape and Joel Johnson, but Johnson felt like he didn't really intrude on the personal space there of Walter Ramirez. Mentioned our head referee felt otherwise, and like you said, Tyler, you cannot gift them opportunities like that because you've got a lot of boys standing over 6 foot tall. Their entire back line stands 6'2" or better, and all of them are employed offensively coming forward in these set pieces. Remember, keep an eye on number 4, Kenneth Tribbett. He seems to be the one on the receiving end the most.
Ball whipped in. Trouble for Charlotte. Dykstra off of his line. It's still loose. And there were a number of red, white, and blue jerseys that were stationed directly on the goal line with their keeper. Scrambled and desperately trying to get back into position.
This starts with your goalkeeper, Andrew Dykstra. If you're going to come and commit to this, you better go get it because you're bringing yourself 7 yards off your line. You have to respect the effort put forth by Jake Armin, one of the smallest guys in the box, but still gets ahead on it, especially when he's trailing behind Lucky Kasana. But again, if you're Dykstra, you come up, you come with all your force, you punch that ball away, and then as he tracks back, it becomes a guessing game between everybody on the Independents. Have to do better.
Now Penn FC starting to flex their muscles a little bit. Right on cue, ball given away. A one back. Comes out wide for Ramirez, who's starting to grow into his position out on the left wing with his new side. Johnson puts in the challenge. It's a good one. Stays with Penn FC. Now it's Mwape.
Play the ball. Right there, you got Zayed standing right in front of you. touch the ball into him, get in the overlapping run on the right side, and get it down into the channel. It's going to free up more space for everybody else on the counter on the other side of the field. But instead, you take 2-3 touches, and it closes down. No, I get it. You still have the ball, but you're starting again from a dead stoppage on the right. Penn FC have now brought themselves back, reorganized, and now you're back to square one.
Watson just thumps it away. Might end up working out. Good footwork from Hawkins. 25-year-old from Cambridge, England. Played some college ball at Hofstra University on Long Island.
Fans, don't forget there's still time for you to bid on these special Stars and Stripes Independence uniforms you see the team wearing tonight. Stop by charlotteindependence.com.
Johnson's ball squirts all the way through. Independence fans, let Famous Toastery cater your next event with a wide variety of breakfast and lunch options in over 12 Charlotte area locations. Famous Toastery is sure to impress. Perfect for meetings, parties, or any group events. Contact your local Famous Toastery to explore catering options today. Interesting little nugget coming down from our commander and producer, Ryan Rose. 18 of Penn FC's 23 goals this year coming in the second half. They're on the move here. Ramirez sends it in. Javon Watson positioned nicely, able to intercept. Here's Hawkins driving forward. It's Watson again. Minimal bodies in the box for Raul Foss's side. Because the work up until that point is being done. Meanwhile, Charlotte give it away. Kosana dumping it over the top, hoping for Paolo Jr. Armin shielding it out of play.
Good defending by Jake Armin. But you can really see what we were talking about at the top of the broadcast, where Penn FC likes to go with pace the other direction, and they like to really employ the outside runs. Fortunately, like you said, Tyler, the transition really hasn't been there for them tonight as they near the top of the box and balls floated in. No one on the other end of it.
Kosana gets a flick to it. 2011 Ivy League Player of the Year, as well as first team All-American. Moape. And it's a foul going the other way. Now, I probably saw that call coming. You, on the other hand, don't agree with it.
Nobody agrees with it. This isn't a hometown favorite or anything like that whatsoever. It's a good job by Moape. He's getting forced out of bounds, and Hawkins loses his footing, falling down, trying to push his body away from the ball. It's not Moape's fault. I'll let you know when something's a foul. How about that? That's a foul.
I'll be here all night.
That's a foul right there.
Let's take another look.
Look at this. Moape gets around the outside. Hawkins
drags him down with his hand.
Drags him down. That entire small body pulled him down with his left hand, running in the other direction.
You can't put your arm around somebody's. You can't.
He did put it around his throat.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I don't know what they taught you up there at Hobart, but we're going to have a serious conversation after this game was over.
What did I tell you about bringing out my alma mater?
See this? Keeping it.
Gummy bears were a gift.
It definitely looked better. Excuse me, worse in the replay. But you have to understand the way the direction's going. Now that's a foul. See, now we're on track.
Jorge Herrera offered a yellow card in his 100th appearance.
Yellow card issued against the Independents in the 56th minute on number 10, Jorge Herrera.
Jorge definitely not happy with our referee, Jonathan Belinsky, and his decision to give him a yellow card here. Jorge's been involved in a few tussles here, and this one just coming in late. Good look up by Tribbett. Comes in behind, shoves him in. That's a foul.
You rarely see that from Jorge, too. That's very uncharacteristic of the 37-year-old.
Actually looked like his left foot got caught up underneath him a little bit and was bracing himself against Ken Tribbett, but still foul nonetheless.
Armin right in front of the Jacks Militia. Fantastic support group of the Charlotte Independents. Dykstra putting Armin in a precarious situation. Entry pass into Metzger.
I'll get it. Good touch. All night, man.
You're just downright mean tonight.
All right. They're not giving themselves a lot of leeway.
I thought somebody who's engaged and is in love is supposed to be, you know, a bit more upbeat, a bit more cheery.
You let me know how that works out.
For those of you who don't know, Devin getting married in about 5 months' time. Almost 5 months to the day.
You excited?
Oof.
I'm excited. You know she's excited. I mean,
how could she not? She doesn't have to do any of the wedding planning.
A fun conversation off air that we are now discussing with all of you fine individuals. So feel free, I'm on the knot. Still looking for those last minute wedding gifts. Really had my eye on that set of knives, but don't think that's going to happen.
For those that throw at me or cut up your salty pizza. Armin is looking for Moape. Cleared away by Hawkins. Quietly having a very strong game, Harry Hawkins. Big switch. Cut out by Duckett. Pressure from Lucky Kosana. Penn FC starting to move their line of confrontation up a little bit further. And Raul Foss meandering a ways away from the technical area. Those lines mean nothing to managers. Tribbett, the skipper, switching the point of attack.
Fans, we'd like to give a special shout to the players in attendance from Take On Sports.
Decent ball in.
Section 113.
Well, Duckett had to get rid of it.
Thank you for coming.
And another deep throwing coming up for the visitors.
Charlotte Independence.
Still all knotted up at 0-0. Officially into the hour mark. Half an hour left for either side to try to find the breakthrough and get 3 points that could see either team hop into the top 8 in the Eastern Conference. Foul coming out the other way.
Fans, can you guess who will score the first goal tonight?
And here is a look
at
the bottom of the Eastern Conference.
Program and return it to the guest relations stand located near the main entrance.
Nashville, Ottawa,
if you guess correctly,
hanging on
you
for
could be
dear life.
going home with an autographed Independence jersey.
You'd even see all the rest of the graphic tracking down further, but for you fans at home, as you continue down the Eastern Conference, we talked about the tight-knit groups defensively, and you saw Ottawa sitting at 27 and 8th. You can go all the way down to 13th with North Carolina FC sitting at 23 points, so only 4 points separating 6 spots in the standings, and that gives you an idea of just how close everything is.
Penn FC on the move again. Knocking on the door as of late, asking questions. And that oversized jersey / dress of Moape's ripped by Dan Metzger, and he's shown yellow here in the 62nd minute.
You could see Dan Metzger, he knew he made a mistake almost immediately because it's a good touch on the inside and he gets beat. Even if you have decent footwork to recover, doesn't have the speed to keep up with Mwape, and going to be shown a yellow card to go into the book. But look, this is an opportunity now. The referee stepped in. You can feel a little life from the fans starting to beat in. Jackson Militia not having the use of their drums this evening out of respect for Military Appreciation Night. So now you need to start to push that momentum in something the final 27 minutes and really see if you can take advantage. Grab a stranglehold on this game because this is a time where you really need to get 3 points.
Zayed flicks it along. Seconds fall for Richie Perez. Kevon George keeps it. Zayed, well done to find Perez. Alex Martinez trying to spin away, broken up by Menjivar.
A burger for breakfast, an omelet
Tell you what,
for
Jake
lunch.
Armin,
Famous toastery
not an outside back by trade by any stretch of the imagination. We've already talked about him a few times tonight, doing an excellent job filling in for Sam Vines, who was a last-minute scratch from the 18 in general. He's sitting in street clothes underneath the awning, right behind Pizer, as this one's sent in. Zayed! It's in for Charlotte! Breakthrough in the 64th minute. Jacks lead 1-0.
And though he's not going to get any credit on this goal, give it to the wonder boy Jake Armin, because his touch on the defensive side of things to slow things down and allow Charlotte to play this long ball down on the left side for Alex Martinez is what's get this attack going. And it's a nice teasing ball down in, and just one-on-one ingenuity by Alex Martinez. Gets to the byline, floats a beautiful ball to the back post. How about Ayman Zayed? Positions himself so appropriately, doesn't even have to jump. Comes right to him, puts force behind it, finishes it off with the head. And the Independents have carried that momentum off of that card, like I just said, and are out running.
Alex Martinez, his 3rd assist of the season. Ayman Zayed, 4th goal of the season. And in a game where we thought that we might not have any goals, Zayed provided one in the 64th minute. And now the impetus is on Penn FC to respond, or else it's Charlotte taking control of one of the 8 playoff spots in the Eastern Conference.
Pen's Famous Toastery serves delicious scratch-made-to-order entrees 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. With vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free options, Toastery is sure to have something
Charlotte
for
Independent
everyone.
7-2-2.
One of your local toastery
When they're able to get on the score sheet first.
Breakfast, lunch, and brunch.
On the flip side, Penn FC 3-5-0. That's actually not a terrible record when you concede first. To be able to get 3 wins in comeback fashion, not a bad look.
It's pretty solid. The interesting number there is there's no ties. So they're either losing or winning, so I guess it kind of goes both directions there. But like you said, 3 out of 8, that's not the worst number. We've seen plenty of teams that haven't even managed to get a point out of situations like that.
Penn FC driving. Ball intended for Lucky Kosana. Bilal duck it again. Those two have been attached at the hip. Not in a good way. Penn FC looking to respond. Paolo Jr. gets through. Lucky Kosana Stopped in his tracks by the whistle of Jonathan Belinsky.
Novant Health is proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team physician of your Charlotte Independence. Novant Health, improving the health of our community, one person.
It was a good look moments ago, and see Aaron Dennis coming over the top. Too touchy-feely right at the top of the box. This is something in the middle of the field that the referee probably would have let play on, but because it's a scoring opportunity and the center back is on the negative end of the momentum, blows it the other direction. You talked about Penn FC and their ability to respond here, and obviously you'd like to see the visitors get something back in, and Voss would like to see his team climb back into this match, but for Charlotte Independence, that energy you carried, that was something that really resonated in the conversation with Mike Jeffries. And what were they going to bring? That emotion and desire to continuously carry a match and be the team that was leading the destruction, if you will. You showed about 5 or 6 minutes. Now you don't want to back off. Don't let them claw their way back in. Again, plenty of time. We talked about their ability to fight back in matches. 3 out of 8. They've been able to get a victory out of it. Don't become another statistic.
Looked to be a handball, and indeed it is. '69th minute of play. Charlotte Independence have their lead thanks to Ayman Zayed's goal in the 64th minute. And up until that point, Charlotte Independence did not have a shot on target. Duckett. And Mwape fouled by Walter Ramirez. And as you can see at the bottom of your screen, Miguel Jaime, 22-year-old from Denver, Colorado, getting ready to come on. There was a last-minute switch as to who was going to come on. Excuse me, it's not Miguel Jaime.
Penn FC substitution.
Going to be Prince Buffo, 24-year-old from Accra, Ghana.
Exiting number 23, Marco
coming on
Franco.
And replacing Marco Franco.
Entering number 24, Prince Buffo.
That was bizarre. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Interestingly enough, a couple matches ago, I saw guys that had exactly the same pair of shorts on. They were both wearing number 13, but had different jersey numbers on. It was a good look. Sometimes guys get confused as exactly what their name is coming off the bench.
It's like, oh, wait, I'm not Miguel.
That's one of those things. You're not wearing your jersey when you're warming up and come over, quick change on the sidelines. Equipment manager, unfortunately, pushes you in another direction. Just blame him. It's the easiest thing to do. You're not carrying a helmet around.
Blaming other people, calling me out.
It's definitely not a foul.
Over for Ramirez, Kosana able to keep it in. Hawkins. Metzger. Ramirez in space. Early delivery. Seconds only as far as Metzger. Aaron Dennis looking for an avenue. Lofted over the top. Kept in play. Buffo sends it in. Good defending from Charlotte. Good movement from Penn FC. Hawkins. Kosana was trying to get it back for Dennis. Would have been a great look. Dennis still on the move, showing great strength. Dennis lets it fly. Sensational from Aaron Dennis. He equalizes in the 72nd minute. And Penn FC start this 2-month-long road trip with a great goal here at the Sportsplex in Matthews. 1-1.
Penn FC goal scored in the 72nd minute by number 9, Aaron Dennis.
18 of their 23 goals have scored after halftime. I mean, that gives you an idea of a second-half team that this squad is. Giving a lot of credit to Lucky Crisana, but Aaron Dennis just picks Penn FC up, throws them on his back, and how about that? Right at the top of the 18, nice little knuckler, hits the ball square. I don't know about the ukulele playing, but we can work on that, Aaron. We'll work on some birthday lessons there. That's a solid strike from him.
He wasn't slapping the base.
Kids join the Junior Jacks Kids
Slap hands. High five. High five.
Ages 12 and under.
Aaron Dennis
Get access to exclusive
picks it out of the top corner. And
And
Raul Foss's side right back in it.
For more info, check out charlotteindependence.com/.
No goals and virtually no chances in the first 45 minutes. Horse of a different color in the second half. And that is now Penn FC's 7th game-tying goal of the season. That statistic, as always, brought to you by Mr. Ryan Rose, our outstanding producer. Penn FC on the move again. Looking to take the lead now. Sent across and only finding Moape.
Charlotte have to be real careful here. You can feel the momentum switch. Earl Voss has his boys headed in the right direction, and they're really starting to tick. Independence struggling with the overlapping play by Penn FC.
Dennis again is coming off his first goal of the season, just his 7th start tonight. And we're going to have a hydration break here in the 75th minute. 2 goals to be had in the last 10 minutes, Devin. What's changed here in the second half?
You can definitely see the energy level livelier for both squads, but the Independents carried most of that thought process in the opening 20-25 minutes or so, but you saw them as soon as they got that goal, they started to slack off, and it got quiet again, and they were almost content with sitting back trying to wive that out. Unfortunately, Penn FC had something to say about it. They had no problem stepping in. You could really feel the 2-3 chances. Again, nothing great, but started to get back into this game. And then Aaron Dennis in his great 1v1 opportunity, top of the box, has a nice crack, and then we've seen 2-3 more. And this is that gray area that Charlotte Independents have fallen into where they can't find their way. They end up giving up points down the stretch. We saw it last year, time and time again. This year, unfortunately, they just haven't been able to close out games altogether. So they did a good job getting out in front, but since then, not too much.
And here's a look at how we got to this point at 1-1 in the 75th minute. 64th, Zayed. Don't get much easier than that.
Got to give credit to Eamon Zayed for tracking to the back post. That all of this, again, starts from number 4, Jake Arman in the back. His touch on the defensive side, then Alex Martinez going to work. Absolutely dangerous stuff. Floats a good ball in, just puts it right where the striker's supposed to be. Great finish by Eamon Zayed. But again, Penn FC had something to say about it. It's a good turn by Dennis in the middle of the field. Beats Richie Perez. Has a touch to his right, Dykstra off his line, and just picks out that near post. This is a phenomenal finish.
Coming 8 minutes after the Zayed breakthrough was Aaron Dennis's first goal of the season. And we're going to have another substitution for Mike Jeffries, and it's going to be the local boy, the 18-year-old and University of Virginia commit Daniel Steedman. Coming onto the scene here in the 77th minute. We talked about all the injuries for Mike Jeffries, and when you have that many bodies unable to go, sometimes you have to turn to the youngsters. And they'll watch them grow up right before their eyes as this one sent in. Metzger leaves it off for Kosana. Big block in front. Back out, Buffo. And that shot well over the bar.
The Independents are going to be real lucky here because this is a wasted opportunity for the visitors. Metzger does a great job to bring this ball down off his chest. Thought he was going to hit it one time, but he actually thought the Kosana was going to step up. Neither one could make a decision. And then it's a good job by the Independents stepping up on the defensive side of things, making a good play. At the end, Penn FC just knocking it over the bar.
Ramirez. Metzger bringing it down. NFC able to win it back. They very much have been on the front foot virtually since Charlotte scored their goal. And now after the Aaron Dennis goal in the 72nd, oozing with confidence, Charlotte. Moving it quickly now. Steedman going out wide. Moape. Early delivery. Just over the head of Steedman.
Better ball movement from Charlotte, though. That's the 1-2 touch that you want to see out of the boys. It's not necessarily 100 miles an hour, but when you put the ball on the carpet, let it do the work. Just 1-2 touch soccer, much easier to break the other team down.
One substitution remaining for Mike Jeffries. As the foul will go in favor of Charlotte. There's the Jacks militia trying to give their side a little bit of a boost moving forward and into the final 10 minutes of this one. As Buffo clears it out of any further danger. The Charlotte side just littered with injuries. Jung-Soo Lee, Jan Ecker not in the 18 tonight. Sam Vine scratched from the 18 tonight. Caleb Calvert still serving a suspension. Donnie Smith injured. Cordell Cato injured.
Congratulations to Andrew Boone.
The list goes on and on. Yet here they are, tied 1-1 with a side that they're probably going to be fighting for as far as the playoff position is concerned for the remaining last third of the season or so, as Jonathan Belinsky didn't like something he saw between Alex Martinez. It looks like Paolo Jr.
Alex Martinez, no stranger to controversy.
I must say, we've seen him on much better behavior this year. And I can't help but think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that his partner in crime is over in Colorado.
That and he's not playing. he's been hurt all the time. We haven't seen him at all, but
Joel Johnson able to clear it away. Moape.
the partner in crime, Tyler Terrens, and I are referencing is obviously Enzo Martinez, and the two of them really fed off of each other from an emotional standpoint, both positive and negative. Fortunately, a lot of times for Alex Martinez, tended to get him more trouble than helping him push through offensively. You said Mike Jeffries had one more sub left, and unless he decides he wants to pull out Kevon George in the middle of the field and bring in Greg Jordan, I don't really see him making any changes down the stretch. Kevon George has been pretty good in the middle so far. He's held up play well.
Steedman fouled, using his body well, and a set piece coming up for the Charlotte Independents. Well, it's a little plays like that. They're going to help the 18-year-old.
It's a good spot here for Jorge Herrera, and you could see Alex Martinez ran over and tried to grab the ball almost immediately, wanted to play quick, but there's the veteran leadership stepping in, grabbing the ball. Jorge just picks it up, sets it down, wants to get his team into a good spot here. 7.5 minutes left on the clock.
Near the main entrance, or you can claim it online.
Herrera dumps it in behind.
Once again, though,
Nothing doing.
460-978. Congratulations to our winner of tonight's 50-50 raffle.
Bilal Duckett felt like he was being held, but Jonathan Belinsky, our referee, didn't see any of it, unless you're really brought down. He's not going to point to the penalty spot for a little shirt tugging.
Calvin Resende, 25-year-old from Greenwich, Connecticut, coming on here to replace Paolo Jr.
Number 31, Paolo Jr.
84th minute.
Entering the game, number 21, Calvin Resende.
So Resende trying to make a super sub-like impact for Raul Foss. Daniel Steedman in his professional debut for Charlotte, the most recent substitute for Mike Jeffries, trying to do the same. Mowape out for Joel Johnson. Couple of shakes and a shimmy towards the byline. Duckett. George sees his first touch go underneath his foot. Mowape trying to pick up his teammate, and he's able to do so. Mowape putting the moves on Menjivar, who takes out a massive chunk of the Sportsplex at Matthews on his way down. Pass was intended for Alex Martinez. Mowape down behind the play.
Attention fans, if you'd like to meet the players, take a picture, or get an autograph, we ask that you please make your way to Autograph Alley,
And John
located at the
Belinsky
south end of the field.
will head back
near
towards
the
Retired
clubhouse.
Mowape. A lot of miles on the odometer for Mowape as of late. And we're getting word that Lee Jung-soo is going to come on and replace Mowape. Not exactly sure where the South Korean international is going to fit in.
Independent substitution.
Any guesses?
86th minute.
Grab my cell, we'll call Mike real quick and find out. He coming into the game wasn't exactly sure what he was going to do with Jake Arman, and
14,
just slotted him right into that left back position. And next thing you know, Jung-soo's going to be playing right mid. Obviously, they tend to use him in the center back position. We've seen him float into the holding midfielder role from time to time, but usually on that back line.
In the 86th minute.
And Jorge Rivera
exiting the game, number 9, Aaron
is going to be
Dennis.
coming on and replacing the goal scorer for Penn FC, Aaron Dennis.
Entering the game, number 11, Jorge Rivera.
Dennis getting his first goal of the season, the equalizer in the 72nd minute. And on comes Rivera, who's got a number of caps for the Puerto Rican national team. Metzger on for Walter Ramirez.
After the game, please do not climb over the railing and do not enter the field. Only authorized personnel are allowed on the field after the game. And as we near the end of the game, we remind you to never drink and drive and always drink responsibly. We thank you for your cooperation.
Ramirez again. Little dig ball through. Resent. Ramirez. Crunching tackle from Kevon George. And last touch off of Ramirez. And it'll be a Jacks throw-in. A couple of updates from around the United Soccer League. Charleston full-time 3-0 win over Richmond. North Carolina FC put the Pittsburgh Riverhounds down for the second game in a row. And how about TFC 2 on their way to their first win of the season on July 28th. They're up 2-0 at home against Nashville. And by at home, we mean up in Western New York, that game being played in what was originally the Capelli Sports Stadium. Allowing the fans in Rochester to be able to soak in some USL despite the Rhinos taking a year off. As Dykstra able to collect this one here in the 88th minute, still all knotted up at 1. And the foul called against Charlotte Independence as Ken Tribbett slow to get up. Alex Martinez beat for pace. Buffo, decent idea. Bilal Duckett nods it away, only as far as Metzger. Penn FC asking some questions of the Jacks defense. They've had the answers down the stretch. Venter. Long for Resend. Good defending from Alex Martinez, and he gets rewarded for his efforts by a free kick.
This gives you an idea exactly what Mike Jeffries and the Independents have been dealing with all year long. Just moments ago, Lee Jung-soo coming on number 14, and again, we talked about where he usually sits, plays in that center back role. So Tyler posed the question, any ideas on what I think they're going to do? And it took me a second, but I figured it out. So you take Bilal Duckett, you push him to left back, you bring Armin up into left midfield, you take Mwape off, you bring Alex Martinez to right midfield, you put Jung-soo at center back. That makes sense. But what makes better sense is Lee Jung-soo playing center forward. I love it. This is great. I mean, it's makeshift, but I'll tell you what, they're making it work.
Steedman over for Lee Jung-soo, but fleet of foot isn't exactly his trade.
I'm really proud of myself. I thought I connected the dots quite well, but
Mike Jeffries said there are no dots to be connected.
No.
We're just going to put a man who scored 2 goals in the World Cup before up top.
4 minutes of stoppage time. Minimum of 4 minutes.
Lee Jung-soo with over 50 caps for the South Korea national team. Bilal Duckett, meanwhile, being shown mustard here in the 91st minute. 4 minutes of stoppage time at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Things starting to heat up.
Charlotte are going to have to get organized for this last-minute effort for Penn FC.
Against the Independents in the 90th minute.
Duckett brings that trailing foot around on the left side, gets stuck in. Going to go into the book, but again, all the big boys, all hands on deck, final minutes of this match.
Menjivar, Dykstra off his line, trouble. But a foul called against Penn FC.
And if you're Charlotte, grab this ball and go the other direction almost immediately because Penn FC is way out of position. You can see Dykstra trying to get the ball and push the numbers forward. He knew exactly what was in front of him.
Taken away by Resend. More than 2 minutes remaining in this match. Ramirez, good ball in, better defensive header. Lee Jung-soo checking in. Now Penn FC taking plenty of space as legs are becoming weary. Minds seem to drift. Rivera from distance had Dykstra sprawling off of his line. "90 seconds remain. Lee Jung-soo holds up play beautifully. Herrera skips away from trouble. Joel Johnson. Herrera in space. Trying to slip it through for Jung-soo. How good would that be if he gets a game winner? Rivera along for Resend. Box-to-box action here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Tribbett brings it down. Buffo, the Ghanaian, trying to use his pace, getting towards the byline. Sends it across. Rivera! Massive defensive play. And who else? Bilal Duckett, the stalwart at the back, making a vital challenge in the 94th.
Charlotte looking overly exposed down the stretch here, but how about the big center back, Bilal Duckett, getting involved? About 15, 20 seconds left. Everybody into the box.
Ball whipped in near post, all the way across. It'll be another corner. Hawkins knows he missed a great opportunity.
Once again, Penn FC
into the 95th minute of play.
Richard Menjivar.
Menjivar. Alex Martinez collects. Here's Perez. Was he fouled from behind? Yes, he was. And it's going to be a yellow card as well for Resend. The substitute shown mustard in the 95th. And Penn throw the ball away, allowing themselves to get back in defensive position. And this has to be the last kick of the game now.
Yellow card issued against Penn FC. Number 21, Calvin Resend. Yellow card, Penn FC. 90th minute.
If you're Jorge Herrera, you're looking for Bilal Duckett, Javon Watson, an overlapping run from Kavan George, anything on one of those big noggins. But it's that second and third ball sometimes that we see where the ball gets floated to the back post, you bring it back across the 6. Sometimes it can get lost in transition. Just something back into the mixer for someone to run onto, but this will most definitely be the last chance.
John Belinsky trying to restore order at the top of the box. Last play of the game, Herrera lobs it in. Header won by Charlotte, but it's a free kick coming out the other way. And that's going to do it. Full time here at the Sportsplex at Matthews. Aaron Dennis equalizes in the 72nd minute. And that proves to be the final goal of this one between Penn FC and the Charlotte Independents. Both sides will have to settle for a point apiece. But the good news for Mike Jeffries and Raul Foss is that it's not another loss, avoiding 3 straight losses to 2 managers who exchanged pleasantries. And we'll head out of this one with just a point to their name. Devin Kerr, your thoughts?
Not bad from the Independents. You saw some glimpses and nice spells of possession in the middle of the match, but unfortunately the energy level and emotion and desire that Mike Jeffries has referenced in the past couple games really didn't come into the play until the final 10 minutes. Where is that all 90 minutes long? You need that on a regular basis. But good news for them, it was a bend, don't break type of night where they never really gave up too many chances to Penn FC, who can be so threatening on the offensive side of the ball. They gave one up to the visitors, didn't give up the second, able to escape with a point.
And we'll take a look at our Wells Fargo save of the game. And it's going to come from man at the back, Andrew Dykstra, able to punch that away. And with the game tied at 1 in the last 5 minutes or so, Dykstra coming up big. Former Chicago fireman who overlapped with Mike Jeffries in his time as an assistant with the Fire. Allowing 1 goal in, but not much he could have done about it. Terrific strike from Aaron Dennis in the 72nd minute that equalized Ayman Zayed's goal in the 64th. We'll be back in just a few moments with post-game highlights and stats. Final score for the Sportsplex St. Matthews. Jacks 1, Penn FC 1. We'll be back in a few.
QU for troops in the Veterans Bridge Home.
Oh, I don't have my wallet, so.
Perfect. You can send a digital payment.
I don't have one of those payment apps.
Perfect. You have a US-based bank account, right?
I have Wells Fargo.
Perfect. Then you should have Zelle.
Perfect.
Perfect.
The #1 mobile banking app just got better.
Does your coach use Zelle too?
Of course.
Another way we're building better every day.
Tarjeta.
¿No encuentras tu tarjeta de débito? Desactívala con tu app.
Disculpa, estoy buscando mi tarjeta.
Esta es la tuya, ¿cierto?
Sí.
Y cuando la encuentres, vuélvela a activar.
Full time here at the Sportsplex St. Matthews. Ayman Zayed scoring his 4th goal of the season, but it didn't prove to be enough as Aaron Dennis would answer just 8 minutes later. And that would be our final score, 1-1 between these two Eastern Conference side, who with 3 points would have moved in to a top 8 position. But they'll have to wait for that honor, at least until next time. Full-time highlights. Devin, Alex Martinez, after a very important touch from Jake Arman, with a beautiful service into Zayed in the 64th minute.
It's that interchanging play we talked about, and when they went with purpose and intent, you really started play opening up for them, which was good stuff for the Independents. But again, the regular look from them was not available over the course of 90 minutes. Good ball in from Martinez. Zayed just floats to the back post. Ken Tribbett, believe it or not, the captain, #4, who does so much good stuff for Penn FC, not able to track Zayed. Zayed able to finish it off, but the lead did not last very long. 72nd minute, headed the other direction. How about Aaron Dennis? Little touch to his right, looks up, pick that out.
Dennis's first goal of the season, and it proves to be a crucial one. 1-1 in the 72nd minute. That would do it as far as the scoring is concerned. But this goal, absolutely sensational. And a little bit of air guitar afterwards. And both teams, an enormous amount of mutual respect, as we'll take a look at some full-time statistics. 1 shot on target for Charlotte and ended up in the back of the net. 2 shots on target for Penn FC. 1 in the back of the net. Not really an offensive display here at the Sportsplex St. Matthews, but sometimes that's the way it goes.
It's efficient, isn't it? Very efficient. Both squads batting 100. So that's good. I mean, the thing is, you step in here, and these are the things that you get on the defensive side of the ball in the Eastern Conference sometimes. We talked about it during the broadcast. Not a lot of offensive firepower, but the good thing is the methodicalness on the defensive side of the ball shows good chemistry, and they're able to contain the opponent. Sometimes it's these quiet games, but look, neither team really faltered. 1-1 pretty sums it up.
Well, Military Appreciation Night here at the Sportsplex St. Matthews finishes in a stalemate. Zayed, Dennis, your goal scorers, both teams finished with a point as well as 1 goal, and both sides will head into their next match, at least without a loss next to their name, as both of them had lost their 2 previous matches. And for Penn FC, it's the start of a very, very long road trip, a 2-month-long road trip, and it started right here in Matthews. Charlotte were gracious hosts, pushed them to the very end, and it was both sides who come away with at least something of work. It's always a pleasure when we're able to do this for our outstanding crew and my broadcast partner, Devin Kerr. I'm Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. The final score, Charlotte 1, Penn FC 1. We'll talk to you soon.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.